Smallwood is a #1 seed. Tampa, Florida's Tom Doherty is your from out of nowhere to #2 seed story.
Yeah, Tom Doherty, a power player. He doesn't use his thumb, but it's his first time ever on television. He'll need to find a way to handle the nerves.
3 seed Mika Koivuniemi was 3rd last year here at the TOC.
Major Mika hasn't won a major in 10 years. Today, he needs to find a way to beat power with finesse.
And 4 seed Andres Gomez trying to become the first Colombian to win a PBA event.
The smooth stroker from Bogota, Colombia. He has a second-place finish already this season. He'll need to draw on that experience.
So it's an all-international first match. Finland's Mika Koivuniemi, Gomez from Colombia. They are joined down lane side by Kimberly Pressler.
Rob, the power players reigned supreme this week, but Mika, you are not a power player. How did you make it into the Final Four?
I've been throwing really good whole week, and I need to do one more hour. The same things. Revs were not my favorite this week, but I think I was more accurate than anybody else.
And Andreas, you recently got second in the Pepsi Viper Championship against Bill O'Neill. What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned that I feel actually pretty comfortable on TV, so I'm just going to do my game and hopefully get some strikes.
Rob, it looks like these 2 international players are ready to make their mark on the TOC.
Thank you, Kimberly. And the 46th edition of the PBA Tournament of Champions features the richest purse in PBA history. $250,000 winner's check to our titleist. A cool $100 grand to the runner-up. $50K for 3rd and $40,000 for 4th. Time now for the introductions for match #1.
The #4 qualifier is an exempt player and 3-time South American Championship winner representing Colombia, Andres Gomez.
Best major finish till now, of course, was 13th at the 2001 U.S. Open. Trying to become just the 2nd Latin American to win on the PBA Tour.
The first being Amleto Monicelli. And Rob, today, for these 4 players in this setting, the biggest tournament in the history of bowling, it's all about trying to handle the nerves. This shot goes high, and I promise you, the 3-6-9-10 is not a spare you want to shoot at. Problem being the back pin, the 9 pin. Very easy to chop this spare.
Gomez cleans it up nicely. Spare in the first, he takes a seat. Here's the intro for our #3 seed.
The #3 qualifier is an 8-time PBA Tour champion with 2 major titles representing Finland, Major Mika Koivuniemi.
Koivuniemi with a couple solid nicknames. Major Mika, his first 2 wins on the PBA Tour were at majors, also known as the Big Fin. 6'4", 185, originally from Finland, now lives in Michigan. And a 7-10 split to chew on in his first frame. Now Gomez dropped the 7-10 yesterday during qualifying.
Yeah, and this is just a horrible break. Both the 7 and the 10 get nudged. Neither one go down. And unless Mika can convert the 7-10 split, which has only been done 3 times in the history of television, he's going to look at an open frame early on.
Mika takes down the 10, leads the 7. We say this every week, though, Randy. If you're going to have an open frame, you want it in the first.
Well, and that was a really good shot that Mika threw right there, starting with the mission domination. You can see the hook potential there, along with the taboo and the world beater, the strongest equipment in his arsenal. But again, you know, I always talk about the 7-10 being the worst break in bowling because it's a really good shot, pocket shot, and you don't leave the 7 or the 10, you leave both, and it's an open frame.
We are still without a strike here. Koivuniemi, making back-to-back TOC shows, was 3rd last year. He lost to eventual champion Kelly Kulick, who became the first female to ever win on the PBA Tour last year right here at Red Rock.
And Mika really had a chance to help his tour roommate out, Chris Barnes, who just missed the telecast. Mika had to beat Andres Gomez in position round. Failed to do so. Chris Barnes shot 270 last game, but came up short.
So a slow start for the Big Fin. Open frame spare, and he gives way now to the Colombian, Andres Gomez, who originally came to the United States to study at the University of Florida. His hope was to bowl there. They didn't have a team, so he moved on to the University of Central Florida in Orlando. They also did not have a team, but he eventually graduated there from the degree in business administration as a member of Team Columbia, which does help support his bowling career. Seven-pin nudge, but will not drop, and again we remain strikeless.
Well, a lot of pressure in this major championship. All of the money. But I'll tell you, Rob, I've said it before, I'll say it again, pressure is what makes sports fun. Without pressure, well, it would just be another game, wouldn't it?
And he whiffs the 7-pin.
And again, it's going to show itself all day today. Capital P. The player that can control their mental outlook, their mental frame of mind, stay focused, not think about all the intangibles, that'll be the player that comes out on top.
Gomez telling us yesterday, the whole week, the goal for me was not to think about the money. Just focus on the bowling. If not, I'm in trouble. There's Gomez's arsenal as he steps up in the third. And finally, a strike on this very challenging oil pattern. We'll get more into that in our next segment.
And going with it too fast, Rob, because it's very angular down the lane. And that's what you've seen throughout this week. Again, a huge advantage to power players because they can move in and get their bowling balls to read off the end of the pattern because of the high rev rate. Gomez and Mika, however, don't really fall into that category.
They're both kind of tweeners.
Yes.
Finds the pocket there, does Koivuniemi. So both guys struggling in the first two frames. Looks like they may have figured things out slightly here in the third. Let's see if there's a carryover in the fourth.
Well, right now, after 3 frames, they're actually starting to breathe oxygen.
That $250,000 winner's check can suffocate a lot of people. Back-to-back jacks for the Big Fin.
Boy, he had to really put a good touch on that shot. This ball is a little wide out of Mika's hand. The Big Fin, big tall guy, not a lot of knee bend, but he makes up with it with upper body lean. But the good touch results in that ball getting into the swish zone, and it's a double for Mika.
And Gomez trying to match Mika with a double of his own. And he does. Well, you can really sense that both of these guys have kind of decompressed and calmed down, finally.
And Rob, when you're talking about both players being tweeners, they are in terms of rev rate. But Andres plays the lanes completely different. He's got slower speed, and he's got a lot more side rotation, which allows him to move in and play a much deeper angle. Mika can play that, but he likes to go with his bread and butter, which is staying on top of it, going straighter, getting the loft involved, and throwing that nice, straight, tight line to the pocket.
Gomez was never out of the top 15 in qualifying this week. Member of Team Columbia steps up to open the fifth. So a triple for Gomez now after the early struggles.
Both players with opens early. Now they're starting to get settled in. This is just a great shot. The only pin that could have stood there was possibly a solid 7. Mika now finds himself down by 9, but with a strike here in the 5th frame, can regain the lead by 1.
It's been a decade since the last major title for Koivuniemi and 3.5 years since his last PBA title. 3 in a row for Mika and Gomez.
Asking him what happened last week against Michael Ogden Jr., he lost by 1 pin. He needed to fill 19 pins in the 10th frame to advance. He went 7, spare 9 to lose by 1. He said, yeah, you know what? I was real upset about it. Lasted for about a day, but you have to put it behind you and move forward. Obviously a testament to the great skills of Mika Koivuniemi. He's back here again.
A major ham bone for Major Mika. Koivuniemi and Gomez trying to move one step closer to a $250,000 payday. Their match concludes when we return to Las Vegas.
The PBA Tournament of Champions on ABC. Brought to you by the makers of One A Day Men's 50+ Advantage, the multivitamin with more of what matters. Just for men, for mustache and beard. Keep your edge. The USBC and its 2 million members. To find out more about USBC, log on to bowl.com today. And Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less.
We welcome you to a sold-out Red Rock Lanes and the 46th edition of the PBA Tournament of Champions. We're through 5.5 frames of match number 1. Time now for the Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood segment with Randy.
The 39-foot Tournament of Champions pattern has the most concentration of oil here in the middle part of the lane, signified by this dark blue color. This is where you're going to see the majority of the action. Now, anytime you see an oil pattern like this, it forces the players to play the deep inside line, and that will always favor the power player because they can move in, create angle, and all of that power creates a tremendous amount of pin carry.
It also allows for a decent scoring pace. There were 2 300 games this week through qualifying. Jason Belmonte and Doug Kent ratcheting up those. Mika Koivuniemi started with an open frame, then went spare. Since then, he dropped the 4-bagger. Now it's Gomez's turn, the Colombian, his turn to try and equal Koivuniemi's 4-bagger. A Colombian ham bone for Gomez.
And after a rocky start, Rob, the players have now found their rhythm, each with 2 4-baggers.
And here's Andres on what a win today would mean to him.
It means everything. It means all the hard work, all the years of bowling, traveling, learning, waking up early to practice, staying late to practice. It means everything. It's a really good feeling that, after so much hard work, I'm able to get to this TV show.
And he's now dropped a nickel. 5 in a row for Gomez.
Just puts a great touch on this. You see the ball cross the middle arrow. Remember, you saw it in the oil pattern. The players playing the deep inside line. Well, Andres Gomez is showing you that he loves it in there. Mika considerably farther to the right, going with his strength. Both players locked in.
Koivuniemi down 9 to close out the 7th. Leaves the 3-6-10.
Mika gets too much of this ball right here at the bottom of the swing. Watch this, a little bit extra loft, and when he lofts up, he tends to grab and hit up on it. That made the ball hook early and not hold its line.
Clutch spare conversion Head on over to PBA.com during today's telecast to submit your More of What Matters to You fan question, brought to you by the makers of One A Day. Today's question can be directed to Bo Burton. If your question is selected, you will be recognized on air, and your question will be answered by Bo a little bit later in our telecast. Great to have Bo on the broadcast.
It is. It really is. Sure brings back a lot of memories for me, especially.
We begin the 8th with Mika Koivuniemi off that spare. Back on the strike train is the Big Fin.
Now that shot there, much more level to the lane.
Lena, Mika's wife, looking on.
Now watch this. I want you to watch the launch angle right here. Notice how that ball's more flat, more level to the lane as he lets go of it. That way the ball is able to hold its line. Something to watch for with Mika. Watch for excessive loft.
And Gomez cracks open his six-pack. Don't miss all of ESPN's pregame and postgame analysis surrounding tomorrow's AFC and NFC Conference Championship games. NFL Countdown tomorrow, 1 Eastern for your pregame work. Then catch all the postgame analysis and look ahead to Super Bowl 45 on NFL Primetime, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM. NFL Primetime presented by E-Trade on Sunday. We begin the foundation frame 9th. Gomez on top.
Whoa. Well, he was in cruise control, and he knew it as soon as he let go, and he needed to catch a break. He did not. 3, 4, 6, 7 split.
How do you attack this?
You get the ball to the right side of the 3-pin, throw it over into the 4-7. The ball covers a 6. As you take a look at that side roll, but notice how it hit the 10th board, that dark board down there, that rangefinder. It needs to get right of that for him to have any chance of holding line.
Gomez had an open frame in the second. And an open frame in the 9th. A major window has just been pulled open for that man, Mika Koivuniemi.
And this is what champions are made of, and this is what major champions are made of. Mika's going to take a re-rack. He is not going to let anything affect this next shot. He wants to collect himself and throw the best shot he can throw. If he strikes out, he shoots 246. He will shut out Andres Gomez. The best Andres Gomez can shoot, 230.
Take a look at some of the other finishers, including the prize money, and Chris Barnes just missing out on the TV show, finishing 5th. He won last week in the first major of the season, the PBA World Championship here in Vegas. Osku Palermo had a wonderful tournament, finishing 7th. There's Sean Rash in 8th, and the real deal, Bill O'Neill in 9th. Koivuniemi in the 9th.
Beautiful, beautiful shot. How about my guy Mike Edwards finishing 11th, making 21 grand.
Mike Edwards, our longtime stat man, right here on my right hip right now. We don't play favorites, but we were quietly cheering for Mike throughout the week. Machugs finishing 15th. Norm Duke finishing 16th. You're going to see Norm Duke Super Bowl Sunday in a great event on ESPN, the Chris Paul PBA Celebrity Event. Nelly, Lil Wayne, Reggie Bush were there. Mike Scroggins, our friend Scroggy, finishing 19th, and Maximum Bob Robert Smith at 20th.
Mika took a re-rack in the 9th. He took another re-rack in the 10th. He's out of re-racks. The players are allowed 2 per game. A lot of things going on right now. Mika taking his time. He's also making his opponent sit an awful long time. But here's the deal. A strike here is in the high 230s. With any good count, this will win it for Mika.
Messenger missing the 10.
Now, Mika converts here, and any good count, he will be in the mid-220s. That will force Andres Gomez to get 2 and good count.
I don't speak Finnish.
That means carry.
Carry. Okay, thank you. Drops the 10.
Well, that was an impressive shot. And for the money, he knew it was on the line. He needed that first strike in the 10th to shut out Andres Gomez, only to leave a 10-pin. Now, he needs at least 6 to force Andres to get 2 in the 10th. If Andres goes strike spare or spare strike in the 10th frame, he will only shoot 220. That's enough. Andres Gomez needs 2 and 5 to move on.
So Koivuniemi in the books with a 224. He will sit and watch the Colombian, Andres Gomez.
Remember last week it was a 10-pin. That was the undoing of Mika Koivuniemi to lose to Michael Haugen by 1. It was a 10-pin, his first shot here. Let's see if Andres Gomez can show all of his Colombian moxie and man up with 2 big strikes right here.
Again, this just the second ever televised appearance for Andres Gomez. Was the #1 seed earlier this season at the Pepsi Viper Championship, lost in the title match to Bill O'Neill. Mika Koivuniemi, of our 4 finalists, clearly has the most experience.
This is a problem, potentially. He's been sitting a long time. Remember, Mika took 2 re-racks. Now he's having a problem with a pin resetting on the left lane. It's been a while for Andres since he threw the last shot. And rhythm, well, it's all about rhythm right now.
Mandatory strike here in the 10th. Beautiful shot from Gomez. He'll need another one.
We saw him last night, the position round match against Mika Koivuniemi. He was unflappable. Bowled one of his best games of the tournament to beat Mika and secure his spot here today. He needs 1 more, just like the last one he threw.
Gomez beat Koivuniemi in both of their meetings this week in round-robin match play. Now trying to do it under the lights. Another mandatory strike here for Gomez, and then he's in great shape to move on.
Wide right.
And the 7 won't drop, and Koivuniemi moves on.
Well, Mika catches one, a break that is for a change, and you can see the disappointment in Andres Gomez's face. He knew it was wide right out of his hand.
Lena and Mika celebrate when our live coverage of the TOC resumes. Bo Burton returns with a TOC reflection.